Hi everyone and welcome to today's Animal Cam. This is Kristen with Lion Learners East Midlands and I have got some of our beautiful geckos to show you this afternoon. Now yesterday you met the lovely James, who is a leopard gecko, and he lives with Rachel at Lion Learners North Lincolnshire. The geckos I've got here to show you today are actually a completely different type of gecko. They are called crested geckos. And there are actually about 1,500 different species of gecko across the world that live in warmer habitats, but in all different types of habitats. So James, who you met yesterday, is a desert lizard. These geckos come from a completely different habitat. They are rainforest lizards. And the lovely lady you're looking at on the side of the box here, just sitting on the side of her travel tank, is Gwen. She's a very beautiful crested gecko. And she's very much, let me pick her up, adapted for life in the trees. These geckos don't actually live on the ground at all in the way that a leopard gecko does. They spend all their life up in the trees because they're a fairly small lizard. As you can see, Gwen is fully grown now, and so they have a lot of predators, and up in the trees is where they are at their safest. And they're very much adapted for life up there. So, whoops, as you can see, they're very good at jumping. Gwen's just had a leap off my hand onto the side of the box. And they would leap from tree to tree, so they never go down onto the ground. If they want to go and visit a new tree, they leap, and they have quite a lot of extra skin around their back legs to help them glide along. And they have, oops, come here Gwen, sticky feet so that they can hang on. She's in a very lively mood this afternoon. She said, I don't want to stay on your hand. Sticky feet so that they can hang on to the side of a tree, just like she's hanging on to my hand. And even when they're sleeping, their feet remain sticky. So ordinarily, Gwen would be asleep right now. She's a nocturnal lizard. She'd spend her days stuck to the side of a tree trunk or up in the branches, and she would be fast asleep and she would stick there. She wouldn't fall off, even when she was sleeping. And her beautiful colours and patterns on her back are designed to make her look very much like she's part of the forest, part of the trees, so that predators don't spot her. Actually, when she's fast asleep, she is a much paler colour, and she can do something pretty weird. Her eyes, oops, come here Gwen, which are very big, as you can see, sink right into her head so that they're less obvious, so that predators find it hard to spot her. They don't know that she's there, and she looks just like part of the forest. When she's awake like she is right now, she becomes brighter and darker in colour, and her eyes pop back out so that she can have a look around. And there's not a lot of things I could find out about why it is they get darker. Some scientists think that perhaps it's so that everything is darker around them and it helps them to be harder to spot, and then in the daytime they're paler coloured because obviously it's daylight, and that again makes them harder to spot by their predators. And if we have a closer look at Gwen's eyes, there we go Gwen, you can see they look kind of weird. When we visit schools and things for kids to meet Gwen, they always say, oh, she's got very strange eyes. There we go, it's focused quite well. Actually, at the moment, because it's daylight in here, her eyes are almost closed. Only the tiny slit that goes from top to bottom in the middle is open. And that's because it's quite bright for her. She is nocturnal, she's a night lizard, so ordinarily she's awake in the dark. And in the jungle at night, it is very dark. No street lights or anything. She needs to find her way around. So the darker it is, the more her eyes open up. And if it was pitch black in here, her eyes would be completely black and open wide, and she has amazing night vision. But I've never seen her eyes like that, because enough light for me to see her is enough for her eyes to start closing up a little bit. And so I've never seen her eyes wide open. She still seems to manage to find her way in the daytime, even with her eyes mostly shut. Don't you, Gwen? There we go. And crested geckos can do something pretty cool with their tail that you heard Rachel tell you about yesterday. Because geckos are small, they have a lot of predators, they need ways of staying safe and avoiding being eaten. So camouflage is one of her tactics. Another one is that if a predator is after her, she can waggle her tail around. Oops, like this. There she goes. She's in a very bouncy mood today. She can waggle her tail around and say, "Have my tail." And the predator grabs the tail, and then she can make her tail come off. She can detach her tail. The predator gets the tail, and Gwen gets away. But this type of lizard can only do that once. Leopard geckos can grow their tail back, but Cresties can't. So once they've done that, they've got no tail for the rest of their life. And they do manage without it, but obviously she's better to have her tail. But it's a once in a lifetime, save your life kind of strategy. So as you can see, Gwen's still got her beautiful full tail, but her friend, who is chilling out down here, oops, this is Crestina. And Crestina is also a crested gecko, and as you can see, she doesn't have a tail. We don't quite know where it went or when. She's a rescue lizard, and for the whole of the time that she has lived with me, she's had no tail. She probably lost it as a tiny baby, and something perhaps even as small as a door slamming that makes them go whoo can make a baby crested gecko lose their tail. And once it's dropped, and it doesn't grow back. So I think she's had no tail really for, oh, come back girls, a very, very long time. And it doesn't seem to bother her that it's not there. As you can see, she's still pretty lively without it. Let's put her on a tree. Hey. She can still manage to leap and jump around even without her tail. So it doesn't bother her that it's not there. But as I say, we don't know why or when she lost her tail. Off she goes. She's going for a little explore. Let's come back to Gwen. Okay, so a little bit different from leopard gecko. These geckos are actually mainly herbivores once they're an adult lizard. They don't really eat insects as much. I'm just going to go and rescue Crestina, who's climbing up the side of my fridge. There we go. When they're babies, they do eat crickets and things as they're growing, but as an adult, they are mostly herbivores. They've got amazingly long tongues, which occasionally they'll let us see, and their tongues help them to get nectar from flowers, and they also eat fruit and things like that in the rainforest. There we go, she's almost showing us her tongue. The tongue's actually long enough to wash her eyes with. That's how amazingly long her tongue is. And Crestina is climbing up the wall. There you go, she's showing you her sticky feet. Oops, there we go. She's halfway up the wall. They're making my life very, very difficult this afternoon. Crazy ladies, there we go. And so, as a pet, I don't feed these girls insects at all. They're just not interested now that they're adults. They actually eat this. So this is a complete food for crested geckos. It smells like bananas and they absolutely love it. You make it up with water to a little paste, which is here. And they think it's very tasty. And it's totally complete for them. So they're very easy lizards to look after. You don't need to have insects in your house like you would for a leopard gecko. But they live in a very different kind of habitat. These girls live in a glass terrarium. So they've got lots of space to climb up. And they spend a lot of time climbing the glass and climbing on their furniture and sometimes sleeping stuck against the side of the glass as well. And they like it to rain. So every evening I spray around their tank as if it's raining, so they think that they're in the rainforest. But because the type of forest they come from is relatively cool, they don't actually need any heating. They live at room temperature. So they're a nice, easy pet lizard to have and very, very beautiful, as you can see. Because they are reptiles, like most reptiles, they come from eggs. And these two, being ladies, occasionally they do lay me some eggs. They aren't fertile because they don't live with a male. But Crestina and Gwen especially actually lays eggs quite often in the spring and summer because she's a younger lizard. She's kind of a teenager. And their eggs look like this. I think they are quite amazing compared to, there we go, Crestina, come back. Compared to the size of the lizard, they are pretty large. They always lay them in pairs. And if they have been laying, I have to make sure that they have plenty of nutrition so that they don't get too exhausted and they've got everything they need, because it's a lot of energy to produce one of the, or a pair of these eggs actually. They're always laid in twos like this. So it's hard work for them. Even more hard work if there was a baby inside, but there isn't for these ladies. Right, let's put that down there. I think we'll leave it there for today before I've lost one of these girls. They're really, really full of it, which is amazing considering it's the middle of their night time. Really showing off for you this afternoon. Tune in tomorrow at 2 p.m. for more Animal Cam. Bye for now.